Everybody is scrambling right now to get all kinds of online resources and lessons available for students during school closures. And while I understand this is important, I'd like to say, hold on. I want everybody to remember that maybe before we dig into these online resources, we better check in. And why am I saying that? Because I want to keep in mind that teaching and learning is a relationship, and stronger relationships lead to more motivated learners, more engaged students. And whatever you're assigning is going to go through the framework of that relationship. And I think it's really important that we make a big relationship deposit before we get started with our online resources. That we reach out to kids and create that safe, calming connection, that trust support between teacher and student as they're doing those assignments. They are going to do those assignments through the framework of that relationship. And just like in the classroom, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So the check-in model that I recommend is going to go through a process of welcome, teach them the norms, then facilitate 3 different questions on check-in, at least 1 up to 3, and then closing. So here's what it might look like. After my welcome and telling students that I miss seeing them, I would say, we're going to do an activity today, and these are the 4 norms. The first norm is whoever is the speaker has our full attention and support. In a Zoom conference, I think it's kind of fun to kind of do like a hand motion, like you're passing a microphone to someone and say, okay, Jimmy, it's your turn. And then Jimmy would act like he's receiving the microphone. In between each pass, we're going to give an opportunity for the facilitator, me, who's hosting, to make a comment of some common ground where students might support. So it might look like this. If a student says, I'm feeling a little bit run down today because I didn't get a good night's sleep last night, I might ask, who else can relate to what it feels like to be run down because you didn't get enough sleep? Do jazz hands if you can relate to that. And all the kids do jazz hands. This is important because it helps the student who's sharing whatever they're sharing feel this communal support. The second norm is we're going to speak our truth. So open up, get some stuff off your chest. Tell us what's really going on. Tell us the real deal. But in order for Speak Our Truth to happen, we have to have the third norm, which is what's said here is going to stay here. This is a safe space that we're not going to go sharing what's shared here with everybody else, but rather we're going to use this space to let us have some communal support and to process possibly. And then the last part of this is to allow that time for the facilitator, the teacher, to come up with that common ground that they can jazz hands for. Once you get started, you would have a student start, then imaginary pass the microphone, and as they're doing that, you make a statement of common ground, jazz hands for support, next student starts. The opening question I always like to use in check-in is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today and why? You don't have to ask about the situation that's going on. You don't have to say, what is it like at home right now? You can just say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling and why? And they will bring up whatever's going on with them, and that's great. The second question I like to use is some kind of fun question, like what's one superpower you would like to have and why? Or if you were stranded on a deserted island, what would be one food that you could make as your permanent 1 food or permanent 2 foods? And so kids can talk about something that might be a little bit lighter. After that, I would then talk a little bit about the resources that I'm putting online and the next steps for them to engage in those educational resources. And then finally, I'd go around the circle one more time with an optimistic closing. Maybe we'd be talking about something like one thing they're grateful for, one thing that they're looking forward to, or maybe some kind of silver lining or something they like about the current situation. And after that, I'd close, remind them to get started, and see them next time, and that I'm here for their support. But the circle can be really effective to help kids process and feel support, and I really recommend that before we dig in, we better check in. Thanks.